At MorphL, we believe that making AI open, accessible, and easy to use for e-commerce companies is the most valuable currency there is. Our Shopify integration makes it easy and accessible for Shopify merchants to solve common business problems through intelligent use of data. In this tutorial, we will go through the setup steps required for generating predictions based on Google Analytics data and associating those predictions with Shopify customers. We start by installing the MorphL AI for e-commerce Shopify app. Once the app is installed, from the MorphL dashboard, I can choose one of the machine learning models available for this integration. I select the shopping stage completeness model, which predicts how likely a returning visitor is to add a product to cart, go to checkout, or complete a transaction. Each machine learning model is compatible with multiple data sources. I can choose Google Analytics and I am redirected to the setup for this data source. Machine learning models get access to data using APIs and big data pipelines. So before training the model, I have to activate the Google Analytics API and create credentials so the MorphL platform can ingest the data. The instructions for connecting the Google Analytics data source are also available on our documentation section, so you can always circle back to them. Going back to the form, the first step is to retrieve the Google Analytics view ID for which I want to load the data into MorphL. I go to the Google Analytics admin panel in the View Settings section, and I'm just copying and pasting the view ID in the form. Next, I'll create 3 custom dimensions. This allows the Analytics API to export data at the client ID or session level instead of returning only aggregated data. The first one is the client ID, which I set as a user-level custom dimension. Please note I am using the dimension index and not its name. The next dimension is the session ID, which I set as a session-level custom dimension. Again, in the MorphL form, I am using just the dimension index. The last dimension I am creating is called user ID. This custom dimension should be used only when connecting MorphL to other platforms. For the Shopify integration, this dimension stores the Shopify customers' IDs, which allows us to associate Google Analytics data with Shopify customers. I can now save the settings. So far, I have created the dimensions, but I also need to add values to them. For this, I will add a custom script from the Shopify admin. After navigating to the Online Store Preferences Google Analytics section, I can copy a script from the MorphL documentation and paste it into the additional Google Analytics JavaScript box. This script will set the values for each of the 3 dimensions I have created. Next, I will enable the Google Analytics API and create credentials that allow MorphL to connect to it. This is done from the Google Developers Console, so please create an account if you don't already have one. I start by creating a new project. Once my project is ready, I can select it and navigate to the Enable API and Services section. I'm searching for Google Analytics Reporting API, and I can now enable it. Next, I switch to the Identity and Access Management Service Accounts section. I add a new service account and select the Project Viewer role. I create a new key in JSON format. This will generate and download a new key file. And once done, I open this file with a text editor. Next, I copy the client email field from the JSON file. Then I go back to the Google Analytics admin panel. From the Account User Management section, I add a new user with this email address. Please note that the service account will have permissions only to read data, not change it in any way. From the MorphL dashboard, I'm uploading the service account key file and can now save my settings. The final step is to verify my setup. At this point, the MorphL platform will connect to the Google Analytics reporting API using the service account credentials I have created. Don't worry if you see this warning. It signals that your custom dimensions from Google Analytics don't contain any data yet, as it takes approximately between 24 to 48 hours before Google Analytics starts populating custom dimensions. Since now the data source is active, I can select it for my model and proceed to the next step. I now choose the training and predictions intervals and save my settings. The model is now created, but before it starts training and generating predictions, I need to upgrade my account, which I will do off-screen. After creating a MorphL subscription, I'm back in the MorphL dashboard. To finalize my Shopify setup, I go to the integration catalog and access my Shopify App Settings. I can see that my store is already connected, and I can just enable my shopping stage completeness model. This means that the MorphL platform will start sending predictions for this model into Shopify. Please note that it can take between 24 to 48 hours for data from Google Analytics to become available for training and generating predictions. Lastly, I have here the dashboard for a model that has already been trained, and you can see I have also activated a couple of additional models such as cart abandonment and customer lifetime value. For my shopping stage completeness model, I have access to an overview of the predictions that have already been created for my website visitors based on their Google Analytics data. From the Predictions tab, I can even see the predictions values for each user. For the shopping stage completeness model, each user has a probability of adding a product to cart, going to checkout, or completing a transaction. In Shopify, these predictions are associated with customers through meta fields and tags. For example, for this customer, I see two tags which indicate a high probability for completing a transaction and a low probability of abandoning products in the cart. MorphL doesn't modify your store theme in any way. You can, however, personalize the shopping experience of your customers by implementing your own calls to action. For example, in my store, I have added a special section on the homepage, a banner that is visible only to customers with a high probability for the shopping stage completeness model. Here, I have accessed the predictions values through meta fields. If I go to my store's homepage, the banner is not visible. But if I authenticate with my customer account that has a high shopping stage completeness probability, the banner will become visible. This is just a basic example, as the MorphL predictions can be used to also personalize marketing campaigns by exporting tags into other Shopify apps. That's the MorphL Shopify integration in a nutshell. Sign up today and start infusing AI-based personalization into your Shopify store.